Hello, everybody, and today we're going to be diving into the road to the sale from the perspective of customer-centric selling, which is all that I ever teach. When it comes to customer-centric selling, we have to understand before I dive into any of this stuff is that everything, the whole process is built around the customer. Now, we can sit here and we can go ahead and say, well, there's, the importance of going ahead and taking care of this or this or this. Here's the deal. I'm going to take all the minutia out of this thing because when we look at how humans actually interact with one another, when we take a look at how exactly we progress through conversation, a lot of the things that we're taught day to day when we look at training, whether it's us going ahead and having a corporate person come in, or whether it's going ahead and taking a look at training online, a lot of it is not customer centric. A lot of it is simply meant to figure out the easiest way to go ahead and get those top marks on your surveys every single time. Well, here's the deal. When we look at the whole scheme of things, right, like just how sales is as a whole, there are a couple underlying factors that we have to understand that create basically the metrics that we have to live up to in order to be successful. And one of those metrics is A, you can never forget about the person that's sitting in front of you. And B, this process is wholly about them. If you have those two buttoned up and you practice all the underlying factors that go into both of those, you are already on the right track to making a sale. Because at no point in time, let's say you owned the dealership. Okay. And as you own the dealership, you realize that that mom and pop type experience is incredibly valuable to you, right? Bring the customer in and treat them as though they're one of your own. But you have to hire in a bunch of people and expect them to do the same thing. Well, what we do is we hire in our sales staff and we don't teach our sales staff those customer centric principles that actually are profitable, that will go ahead and move us closer to a deal, that actually give us the ability to make a really good commission. So welcome to AutoKnerd, everybody. My name is Andrew Sardone. This is what we're going to cover today. Time to dig in the meat and greet. So meet and greet is this clickbaity rabbit hole, right? It's one of these things that I see a lot of people will create sessions on, and it's as though we're waving some magic wand to get the customer to buy a car right then and there. Let me blow holes in a couple big things. Firstly, human beings do not go ahead and make a decision on whether to buy something in the first 15 to 20 seconds. Sorry, let's just get that out of the way. The idea that somebody is simply going to go ahead and say, oh, yes, I'll buy a car from this person in 15 to 20 seconds is absolute garbage. Actually, it's quite literally put there for you to go ahead and say, you know what, I'll buy that because that person is telling some sort of secret message. Let's clear the air, all right? We're all professionals. We want to succeed in this business. This business, when you go out and you meet and greet somebody, it's quite literally you just saying hi. It's created as a process in the road to the sale because so many people do actually struggle with going ahead and talking to somebody that they don't even know. Now, we have to look at the meet and greet as though we are inviting our customer into our own home. If we don't look at it from that direction, we've kind of already failed on this. The thing with this is that the customer, when they come into the store, has the highest closing ratio that they've ever had before. And you'll hear me say that as well as a bunch of things, an awful lot. You see, they research the vehicle, they research how to go ahead and buy it. So they know the car, so they're pretty much sold in the car. And a little secret for everybody out there, when it comes to people actually coming to the store these days, you have to remember, they have the option to buy online. They have the option to not come in anymore. So because of that, we have to make the case, and a very strong case, that the customer, when they come on in and they're sitting down in front of you, they are there to buy a car today, right? It takes some guts to walk through our front door. It's not just a simple, hey, I'll just go buy a car. No, a lot of people are very, very scared to walk through that front door, and our job as consultants, keep in mind that root word, counselor means that we're there to manage some anxieties. And so with this, it all starts off from the first step, right? But just like the last podcast, there is a little bit of prep that we have to do. So let's review that real quick. First and foremost, we do need to dress to impress. The whole idea of somebody, well, I'm going to decide to buy a car in the first 15 seconds or so. Yeah, it's other BS. It's clickbait, but there is a little tiny sliver of truth to this, right? The tiny little sliver of truth is that human beings, we are judgy. Right. I mean, that's just kind of what we do. It's just built into who we are. Right. We are judgy at the core. And so when we go ahead and we meet somebody, even the kindest people in the world do pass judgment in one way or another. Now, we have to put ourselves together, right? The whole idea and the whole phrase, rather, of dress to impress was coined because, well, it's the truth is that you have to go ahead and put yourself together properly. So I see sales consultants quite frequently that will go ahead and wake up every morning and put on their polo, put on their jeans, put on their sneakers, and go to work. I'm sorry. That's not professional attire, right? I understand. I get it. The dealership bought you a shirt. They embroidered right on it that, hey, here's where you work. Here's where your dealership is, as though the customer didn't know that you were a sales consultant there as it was. And then on top of that, they detract from our ability to be professionals by going ahead and saying, hey, wear this incredibly casual attire because apparently in some report way back in the day, people just want to deal with other casual people. Not entirely the case. People want to deal with professionals. People want to deal with people that actually know what the heck they're doing. Because if I walk into a dealership and let's say I'm just the layman walking on in, if I see somebody that's in shorts and a t-shirt and then they say that they're my sales consultant, I'm going to question a lot of things right then and there. Do they have the ability to put the deal together properly? Do they know the product? Because they obviously, don't know themselves, right? They're not serious about what they're actually doing. See, this is no different than somebody taking a look at your building and going, hey, you know what? That looks like a nice place. I could go buy a car there. Right? You have to remember is that there's two forms of experience that every customer has to deal with. One of those is the experience of their physical environment. The other one is the experience that they have with you and the conversation and the connection that you have with the customer. So we need to get that started off correctly. And really it comes down to getting the door properly situated by getting dressed properly in the morning. So this could be you going out and ironing your clothes every morning. It could be you running the dry cleaner every other day. Or it could be as simple as you go out and you just buy some nice clothes, right? Shirt, tie, I highly recommend it, but get something that's you, right? When it comes down to the whole, the idea of just being casual, yeah, people like a casual conversation, but they like to work with a pro, a professional in that field. And so we got to get rid of those polos. We got to get rid of the very casual dress. Again, it's not helping you. It's actually hurting you, and it's making it harder for you to build up rapport in the beginning. Because again, the customer's not taking you seriously, and at the same time, your confidence level in your attire is set by the dealership. Right now, I don't know a dealership out there that's going to say, no, you can't wear a shirt and tie. Well, I suppose a few out there will stick by the fact that, well, customers are more comfortable when they work with somebody that's casual. Not really. This isn't an electronics store. It's not your grocery store. It's not the gas station. We're in a professional business where people spend tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on your product. You gotta put yourself together, right? So let's detach this a little bit. Let's say you walk into a Rolls Royce or a Bentley store. And I've been to quite a few, and it's really cool when you walk in because it's a very different type of selling, right? It is wholly customer centric, and it has to be customer centric. If it's not customer centric, the people that are coming on in flat out go, you know what? I don't care about you. I can leave Florida and Miami here. I'll drive to California and just have my car shipped. It's cool. If I don't like you, it's not really that big of a deal, right? They got a Bugatti over there. You got a Bugatti here. Not a problem, right? And so when you look at the ultra high end, you find out pretty quickly that these guys will go ahead and invest in shirt and tie. Well, hold on. We're talking about the relative financial means of an individual walking into the store. Why are we treating the high end person, right, the big roller out there, different from the individual walking through the store? We all preach about how we want this great, experience, right? But we treat the person that doesn't have much money naturally lesser than somebody that has a lot of money. We make one process for the person that has a lot of money entirely customer centric, whereas the person that doesn't have a lot of money, we take the customer centric side as far out of it as we possibly can in most circumstances, ask them a bunch of really dumb questions to make them understand a payment, and then shove them into payment. That doesn't win us good surveys. That doesn't win us a good commission. Actually, what that does is it makes sure that the customer goes to somebody else to buy a car next time around. Customer centric selling is about learning who the person is and building a nice case for them to understand that a vehicle could work for them in one way or another. If you want to do forceful selling, please go ahead. Just go ahead, pull out all of your one-liners, go out, shake the customer's hand, say something dumb to them, and be sarcastic, and watch your rapport building become this upward ladder that you can never get past the third rung because the customer keeps kicking you down, right? Putting out your best first impression right off the bat is going to open up the door for rapport in some incredibly major ways. So put yourself together, right? Now, get out that stump real quick. Now, the other side of this is when you walk out to shake the customer's hand, you have to understand the comfort level of that individual. Okay. Now, this is highly psychological. So it's very much when somebody comes up, what are they feeling? So let's run through that for a second. If you take, and I'm going to use a much more basic animal than us, but if you take a dog and unleash a dog in a friend's backyard, so it's not even your backyard, you just unleash him in your backyard, all of a sudden you're going to find that that dog is going to run around all over the place. It's not going to mark its territory yet. If it does, it'll do it as soon as it gets out of the car. But it'll run around, and then as soon as it's done running around and it knows that, hey, this is a safe space, then you'll see it go ahead and mark its territory and claim ownership over the land. But with humans, we are very similar. And again, if we take our brains out, shake them off, and go, you know what, we are technically animals, 2 eyes, heart, respiratory system, all that. Why wouldn't we be too terribly different in some areas, right? Well, because we're sentient. Well, that's kind of that is true, but let's look at the animal real quick too, because the animal runs off of just pure emotion. And so with us, we've obviously graduated past that just 100% pure emotion thing, and logic was introduced and thought and all that fun stuff. But the deal is that we still perform some of these just really primitive basic commands. And one of those is that when we get out of our car, if it's a place that we don't know, you'll see people get out, they'll stretch, they'll look around, get the lay of the land, and then they'll see you standing in front of their car, just wondering when they're going to come on over and say hi, right? Here's the thing, though, is that if you're standing in front of their car, you're a threat. I hear it all the time. Hey, walk out there, stand in front of their vehicle, and then as soon as they open the door, walk on over, shake their hand. You're jumping on them. Give them a quick second. Now, listen, I understand if you are on an up system and you are up next, it might be that that's the only thing that you have to do, or that you can do to get that customer, is to run out there and stand in front of their car. Stuff happens, right? It's just the process. Not all stores are like this. And if you can give the customer a moment to get out of their car, you're going to notice something pretty interesting is going to happen. First off, you get a whole less of the I'm just lookings if you don't jump on them immediately, right? Give them a minute to breathe, right? Maybe not even a minute, maybe give them 30 seconds or so, but give them some time to get out, breathe, and get the lay of the land. As soon as they have that lay of the land, it's good. You're all set. You know it's going to be a safe area. You know they're going to go ahead and see that this is an area that's going to be okay. I don't know too many dealerships out there that people get out, look around, and get right back in their car, right? So with that, let the person get out of their car. Once they're out of their vehicle and their doors are shut, walk on over, shake their hand, and welcome them to your store. Now you will hear an awful lot of stuff out there that's like, well, walk on over and introduce yourself and then tell a joke. Why? It's not a funny time. Yeah, be energetic and be inviting and let them know, hey, welcome to our home. This is where we spend most of our time. And while you're here, I'm going to do my darndest to make darn sure that you're going to get a vehicle that's going to work for you. Now, if you're just looking today, that's fine too, right? There's an information gathering day. In the back of my head, I'm going, and I'm still going to try to sell you a car. But the deal with this is that if you jump on them, you startle them, right? Fight or flight starts to instantly kick in, and here comes the I'm just lookings. In addition to that, if we don't go ahead and represent ourselves properly, right, the customer will look at the whole store as being something that I may not want to go there, right? All it takes is one individual's bad attitude first thing in the morning, or one individual's coming off incorrectly when they shake that customer's hand to make the whole thing just look absolutely terrible. We all have that one dealership in town, right? So, but when we look at how to go ahead and greet a customer, there are a couple things. First off, confidence is key with this, right? So being able to stand up straight, right? My whole 5'5" of straightness is not very tall, but when it comes to this, stand up straight, walk out, shake the customer's hand with an actual handshake. I'm not talking about this limp wristed kind of mushy hand stuff. Get with another salesman that's on the showroom floor and practice shaking hands. I know it sounds dumb. It sounds way too simplistic, but there's a lot of people out there, again, myself included, that will go ahead and shake somebody's hand. And if it feels gummy, well, for myself, if you're a sales consultant and your handshake feels gummy, I'll actually stop you real quick. I'll introduce myself and say, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to help you out real quick. All right. Firm handshake. Give me your firm handshake. And I get a firm handshake out of them, which is still usually really gummy. But anyways, it's usually better than it was before. Now, the thing is with this is that you can tell a lot from a person from the 80% of communication that doesn't come out of somebody's mouth and into their ears, body language. So if you don't walk out there with a straight backbone, and you don't walk out and you have some confidence, and if you walk out there and shake their hand and you have a gummy hand, all of a sudden the customer's going to look at you and go, why would I want to deal with this? Right? Give me somebody that I can work with that can appreciate themselves in the morning, appreciate what they're doing. So, moral story, wake up, get out of bed, and prep. Get yourself ready, right? Just neck down, right? And also neck up too. So if you got to shave, you got to do something like that, go ahead and do that. But put yourself together in the morning, all right? In addition to that, take a shower every single day. It doesn't matter. Remember, you are in sales. You're not in, and I hate putting this way, but you're not in construction. You're not in a labor-intensive job where you can get away with maybe a day of not showering. In this business, very different. You gotta be on top of that because you're dealing with a new face every day. So cleanse yourself and get yourself dressed properly. You're going to be good. All right. Now, what do you say to that customer when you go out? Well, there's no magic words. There isn't. And I've taught many classes that are like, well, say this, say this, say this, say this. And you know what? The kind of funny thing about that is that all of them say something different. There's no consistent line, right? I've heard things like, well, go out there and ask them questions of why they're here. Yeah, okay, I can ask them some questions of why they're here, but we're just going to end up inside anyways, because that's where we do needs assessment, right? I never do needs assessment or counseling qualify on my feet. It never works. So my goal of meet and greet is to walk them 20 feet from the front of my store to my desk. That's pretty much it. Now, customer rolls up. You've put yourself together. You see that they shut their door. They seem to have the lay of the land. They're walking towards your store at this point in time, or maybe out towards a vehicle. And who knows, maybe they'll land on the exact vehicle that they need, but you still got to bring them in before we select the car. So you walk out, you shake their hand. Hi, welcome to So-and-so Motors. My name's Andrew. How can I help you? It's quite literally that easy. You shake their hand. They might come off as, well, I'm just looking right now. Hey, you know what? That's fine. We have about 400 cars here, and each one is uniquely different in one way or another. And my job's to know them all. So I guess what brings you out? What vehicle excited you, right? Ask a couple open-ended questions right then and there and get them talking. You're going to notice pretty quickly once anybody realizes that you are actually genuinely there to help, they start opening up a little bit. And once you see that they start to open up, then all right, come on in. Let's take a seat. I'm going to take a look at the inventory and we'll see what you got. And then once they're in, we have some conversation. And next podcast we'll go all about needs assessment. It'll probably be a two-parter. But when you go out and you shake the customer's hand, telling jokes at that point in time really doesn't help you. Being sarcastic really doesn't help you. Doing anything that could potentially set the customer off in a negative way isn't helping you. And I know I've seen the stuff. I've looked at it over and over. Go out, shake their hand, right? Go ahead and say some stupid comment. No, don't. This is the first 15 seconds where they will not decide whether to buy from you or not, but they will absolutely have the option of going ahead and saying, we're going somewhere else, right? Or I want to leave now. And with this, if you have, let's say, a couple come on up. Now I'm talking husband and wife at this point in time, just because it's an easy dynamic to go ahead and explain. But if you have a husband and wife coming out to the store, shake her hand first. She's the important party, right? I need to say it, but kind of the heck with the guy. The reason being, it's over 60% of the time he's not the decision maker in this scenario. Also, if you shake the husband's hand first, a lot of the time the wife looks at you and goes, I'm over here. Okay, hold on. Shake the wife's hand first. The husband won't really care. It's just how it is. Now, if he's running right at you, ready to shake your hand, cool, shake his hand. But shake the wife's hand as though she is her own independent, freestanding person, because she is, right? There's no reason to go ahead and point out anything about her looks, point out anything about her age, point out anything about anything, right? She's there as a party to go ahead and also invest in you, in the dealership, in just basically being able to go ahead and support maybe her significant other when it comes to buying the vehicle. But all in all, if I have two people in front of me, husband and wife, and I know that over 60% of the time the wife is going to be making a decision, you bet your rear I'm going to be going ahead and during needs assessment and asking them both questions. It's not a one-sided conversation. Actually, it almost never is, especially if there's kids involved in the scenario, is that, hey, what do you need? Well, I'm here to get a sports car. Hey, do you really want a sports car? I have no idea why he brought me in here to go ahead and take a look at this thing. We have 5 children. Oh, hey, buddy, I got a nice van out here. It's got 15 seats. You can have more kids. Does that sound good to you? The thing is that you got to talk to both parties, because both parties are going to have different needs. Even if, let's say, it's the wife's car, husband's going to have an opinion in one way or another. If it's the husband's vehicle, the wife's going to have her needs that she needs to get out of that vehicle, right? And so the deal is we cannot go ahead and separate the two in the conversation, right? The wife in the scenario is far more important in most cases than the husband, simply because when you take a look at how the finances are managed in most families, it's done by the wife. And guys, let me talk to you straight for a second here. We ain't good with money on average. This is what it is. Let's live up to that. All right. So when you go out there and you shake somebody's hand, say hello. Politely introduce yourself. Don't come off creepy. Don't come off as, you're trying to throw out these one-liner quips. It's just not the time yet. And then once you get the customer on in, explain to them, hey, we're going to go on into the dealership. I'm just going to try to figure out, what brings you on in and how I can support your needs better. Right? Well, why are we going into the store? Well, just simply to have some conversation real quick, because I have so many cars here. I just want to make sure that you're going to get the exact one that you need. Now, again, my job is to know them all, because I walk a lot every morning and I take a look at my online stuff every day. And my job is to make sure that you're going to get the exact one, right? But the only way I can do that is by us sitting down and just having a brief conversation. And no, we're not going to have you fill out a credit app right off the bat, and I'm not going to beat you up. I'll introduce you to a couple of people because maybe, they still look a little anxious. But bring them in and sit them down. And once they're seated, then go ahead, pull out a piece of paper, and start asking me your why questions. And so we'll go all into all that in the next podcast. But all in all, just put yourself together. This is your time for your first impression, and make it as impactful as you possibly can without going too far over the top and offending anybody. Because as soon as you offended one person in that scenario of, let's say, the husband and wife, especially if you offended the wife, I know darn sure mine would go, hey, can we go now? Well, we literally just pulled in. Yeah, but this guy's kind of a jerk, so I kind of don't want to deal with him. Okay, cool. And then we leave. So with this, be inviting. You live there. Again, I hate that statistic, but it is true. We have to treat this place like it's our home. In addition to that, the people on the showroom floor, those are our brothers and sisters, and we all need to acknowledge the fact that, yeah, we might not have the same mom and dad, but we're walking this path all together. And we have to all accommodate each other to be successful. So one of the reasons that I mentioned this, and you'll hear me mention that a lot, is that when we have, let's say, the meet and greet going on, if you notice that your buddy's running on over to get that customer, let your buddy run on over to get that customer if he's ahead of you. No reason to tackle him, no reason to bump him out of the way or any of that stuff. Help support the people that are around you. All right. But back to you as an individual at the meet and greet. Again, put yourself together. Walk out there, invite the customer into your home. All right. Treat it as though it's your home. And all the siblings that are there, let them know that we have to start treating this like it's our home. If you're a manager and you're sitting down with your sales consultants for your Saturday morning meeting or Monday morning meeting or whenever you do it, let them know, hey, we're going to create a familial environment, because familial environments encourage people to pay more for vehicles and go ahead and make people more comfortable. And the reason that they encourage people to pay more for vehicles is that when we have a customer centric consultation in an environment that is familial, meaning that it has the ability to make somebody chill out and relax. Being customer centric, we're gathering all the data. Being familial, now we have the ability to look at the customer and say, hey, I know that you're comfortable now. Let me show you a vehicle. And now that you're comfortable with me, and now that I know the data of what you actually desire and need on this vehicle, now I can pull around a car and select a vehicle for you that is going to work beautifully for you. Now, since you're comfortable, and I'm going to sell you on 5 to 7 reasons why you came in, now I'm going to make you motivated to need this car, not want this car. And so that's one of the big things I'm going to talk to you about in the next few episodes, is the difference between needs and wants and how we convolute these things constantly. So, but to cycle back real quick, when it does come down to meet and greet, quite literally, put yourself together. If you don't like your image, fix it. If you have this idea that, well, I'm one way or another, figure out a way to fix it. It's really not hard, right? If it comes down to a whole clothing thing, there are plenty of places that sell fairly inexpensive clothing, which will make you look like a pro. There's a lot of places out there that sell very high-end clothing. Little tip for you: go talk to your local tailor, and they will tell you, hey, great clothes over here, not great clothes over here, or they can make you something that works well. The point is, it's your first impression. You want to make it the best that you can possibly make it, no matter what. All right, gang. So that is it for today. Please go ahead and click that subscribe button. It helps me help you. I think it's like right over here. Or if you're on the podcast, just go ahead and click subscribe as well. Aside from that, next week we'll dive knee deep into the needs assessment, and that'll probably be a 2-parter. I'm going to try to consolidate it on down to one and not make it ultra long. But as far as that goes, I will talk to you all next week. Happy selling out there. Have a great one. And I will, like I said, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.